You're live.
Okay, it is time to begin our meeting. This is Tuesday, April 14th, 2020. Welcome everybody that's listening, all three of you. We've got the agenda, the consent agenda minutes, accounts payable, and liquor license renewals. You say there are no liquor
There are
license?
no liquor license renewals today.
Good.
And the agenda and minutes were good, so I make a motion to approve the agenda minutes
And accounts
and
payable.
the accounts payable.
One thing I have on the minutes, I'll get it up, I'll draw it up with Carol, but it should be must instead of most. Doesn't quite make sense, but
No?
that's
That's
one thing,
okay.
that's one thing.
Well, you missed a couple that I found then.
Well.
So I went back
I-
through and redid them. His pages, I didn't even mess with the
Darn
ordinance.
computer.
And everybody's okay with the accounts payable then? Or did you put that in your motion or just the minutes?
Yeah, she did.
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda minutes and accounts payable. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Alright. Motion carries 3-0.
Okay, did you sign off on the accounts?
The good one.
Yep. It was there. We fixed it.
Richard? This shows one, Patrick. Is that us?
2, yeah, maybe.
Okay.
I'm not really watching. I don't think it counts me. So maybe Lori.
You should have known.
Okay.
All right.
Any visitor recognitions that you guys are aware of? How about supervisor updates? I don't have anything right now. We've done some phone meetings, but nothing's
I had
really pressing.
give an update on Veterans Affairs. We had a telemeeting and things, and we had a deep discussion on HIPAA violation because of just the way that things can be in the office. We have a iPad that people can come in and use to update with their doctors and stuff, and like in Omaha and things. Well, the problem is they'll ask the agency people to come in and help them. Well, some of the questions that are being asked, it gets to a very fine line whether they can help them answer them or not. So we're taking a little deeper look at that.
Right.
Of course, we got all sorts of ideas what to do on the briefing on the C-19. I won't go into them. There was some, there's a few people coming into the office using precautions, and stuff, and they've been taking things out the parking lot. The people will pull in and honk, and they'll go out that way. Our problem right now is a lot of the snowbirds are coming home from the southern part and having to quarantine for 14 days, and some people feel it should only be 12, or some should say it's 10. They're getting a little, this one guy talked to her the other day, Elizabeth, for 45 minutes while he was walking around his yard listening to the birds sing. So. But she says, when you're a therapist, you're a therapist. So,
It's therapy.
and it's like they said, well, things have changed, but stay with the people and help them out as much as you can. So, and then I had a 1 hour telephone conference with Isaac, and we got to listen to the Joni Ernst. Who else did they bring on? Cindy Axney. I think that was it. There was a gentleman named by Dave Hamilton, or Doug Hamilton. We met him, Lonnie, when we was out there for intergovernmental affairs and things, and like he says, he says you have to look at the little things, the positive signs that are being shown up in the last 30 days here, as far as things changing. But the most important thing that came out of this, and that I got a alert email last night, and it's the funding that this $250 billion is coming out. It's kind of like a stimulus package or something. Right now, the counties would be waiting on the states to see what they would divvy out. It should come to the counties. It should be delivered to the counties, so the counties can get it to the people instead of having someone controlling it, So that's a big issue right now, because NACO's pushing hard to get funding to the counties. Really, Iowa only has none as far as population of over 500,000 per county. There's one that's close, Polk County, but that makes it bad for one county out of 99
Right.
that could get money and nobody else could, so.
I was gonna say, this has been part of our steering committee group, concerns, and Isaac has been notified, obviously, by NACO to ask everyone to write to their congressman about it. I thought they did drop the rules on the over 500, or the 500,000 or more. I thought I saw that they were working on it.
I think they finally got it, don't
Under-
quote me, but that's, yeah.
I thought so too, but I'm not sure with everything I've been reading lately.
Got anything else, Richard?
No, I just got a question. Does anybody know what SNAP stands for? SNAP?
The SNAP program?
Yeah. What?
Yeah. Well, it's a, yeah, I was gonna say, it's like WIC, I
Yeah.
think, only
Okay.
it's called SNAP.
Yeah.
Well, they
Um,
keep bringing it up and I'm going, and I can never catch, or they don't explain what it's for, and, all right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Food stamps, basically.
Yeah, it's the
Right.
food stamp program now. Okay.
Okay.
So I had a webinar call from Golden Hills on Booze for Family. And the child care centers in-home is considered a small business. So the governor has added $20 million to the small business relief grant. And please, if anybody would like to further look into that, log on to Iowa, IA, economic, the whole word, develop, DEV.com. And Booze for Family has wanting for our child caregivers to log on, and you can get some relief that way. $20 million has been released by the governor to help them in that department. So that was my
Well, I hate to
only
go
big.
back and interject some more, but I had a phone call from Representative Dave Zeke, and the levee in the southern part of Mills County that is being repaired, or pretty well repaired. They had to acquire some more land, and being the House none of them are meeting in Des Moines, they had to do it by teleconference, and they're pretty sure they got the land acquired by a loan, so they could go ahead and finish the levee and stuff.
Huge. Good.
All right, Mr. Engineer, how are you this morning?
I'm all right.
You gonna sing us a song like you did last week?
No.
Did you?
That's,
People
that's
thought
a
that was
one-time.
Lonnie, but I corrected him and said
Yeah.
that was your voice.
Right, right.
Yeah, that's remember it while you can.
You'd come in with a song this morning,
karaoke.
we'd sit here to listen.
Yeah. Hope we don't have to pay you royalties.
We do not have any utility permits to report. So my first action item is open and award pavement marking proposals. We have 2 proposals sent to us
Pavement markings on which roads?
throughout the county.
The whole county, okay.
I think there was 50 miles of markings most of our major paved routes, not 221st Street and what was the other route? Not the center lines of Kidd and Levi Road. We are going to put the edge stripes
Just the
on.
edge.
Otherwise, high majority of the rest of our paved routes. I think we have 80 miles of full depth paved roads, and so we got 2/3 of them
Good.
on the list. We have 2 bids. First one's Iowa Plains Signing.
Iowa Plains.
Plains, did you say?
Yes, Iowa Plains
Okay.
Signing.
And they're out of where, Corey?
Slater.
Later.
Slater. Slater, Iowa.
Okay.
Their total amount is $83,437.80. Next proposal's from Vogel Traffic Services out of Orange City. Double sealed.
Oh, double seal. Drum
Yeah, you
roll.
might hand me that letter opener. Thanks. Their total is $70,175.92.
Wow. Big difference between the two.
I guess.
Looks like a big difference in the broken yellow striping for whatever reason. Proposal seemed filled out correctly, signed, federal tax number. I would recommend awarding the project to Vogel Traffic Services.
I'll make a motion on the engineer's recommendation that we take Vogel Traffic Service for $70,175.92.
I second it.
We've got a motion and a second to approve Vogel contracting for painting the pavement markings. Is there any discussion on that?
Is this a yearly?
Yes.
This is
We
yearly.
do it annually.
And I mean, the paint just doesn't seem like it wants to stay. Is there a different, are they mixing it differently? Are
They've gone away from the reflective beads that caused birds were eating it and stuff, which I do know if you ask Richard, he'll tell you that right away. Yeah, it just doesn't. Parks, my assistant. My
He's smarter than me on birds eating beads, but.
And
So there was,
so since then, it's changed the content of the paint a little bit and seems to be a little less durable, a little less reflective. So
but you can tell it just doesn't last
it doesn't seem to.
long at all. So
A lot of time we see it coming during the winter. You know, the more material we put down, the more abrasiveness it is, causing it to be removed. But I also think the paint doesn't last as long.
Job security.
okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Alright. Motion carries 3-0. Anything I need to sign on that, Corey, or is that all you guys?
I believe I'll have a contract for you to sign next week.
Okay. Easy enough.
Okay, next I have approval of secondary road department's 5-year construction program and 2021 budget. I believe the budget's already been approved, right? Previous meeting. So this is more like just a
5-year program.
5-year program.
You have a copy of that for us?
I do. I can make copies for everybody.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and do that. Highlight some of the changes added on the Bungie Improvement Project for overlay Bungie Avenue, the new roadway between Bungie and Applewood,
Is
and
that
those
gonna,
turning lane.
is that gonna happen with our, hopefully through our next RISE project, or is that,
So
are they
it's-
gonna go?
On the agenda this morning, probably just completed,
Okay.
at the Iowa DOT Commissioners meeting for funding. I sat in the workshop yesterday afternoon. They were just going over the projects and had some support from the DOT, and then also one of the commissioners voiced her support of the project just when they were doing the presentation. Pretty optimistic about it. I'll get on the call-in meeting right after this and see if I can't catch the end of it. Once we find out if we get the amount that we requested, about 50% of the cost of the project, we're going to turn in application to the EDA and request the other half of the project. So then if that happens, we'll be contracting out the design work and probably also the right-of-way acquisition. Still just a busy time in the office and
Sure.
dealing with still not quite 100% staff, or we'll get to
We'll
that
see.
part. We'll get to
Right.
that part.
Right.
We also added 2 projects for FY 2021 that are 90% funded by the Iowa watershed approach. A pipe culvert, or we're replacing a greenwood structure on 360th north of Dobney that doesn't qualify as a bridge. It'd be hard to find ways to fund that without funding it locally. So when this opportunity arose through Iowa watershed approach, they pay for the design. They then pay 90% of the construction. We just have to pay 10% of the construction cost. So
Very good
Those-
program.
those
It wasn't moving anywhere till we went to the 10%, then it caught fire and a lot of farmers started signing up. So,
and they must not have gotten enough, because once they went through farmers program, they approached me about finding some projects to use the rest of the balance. So we found 4. Sounds like 2 of them
Fantastic.
are going to get funded.
Good.
So those are going to be a $400,000 greenwood structure replacement, $40,000 essentially for us, and then a broken back culvert, or a broken culvert. Basically, the culvert makes a L shape, kind of, or Z shape would be better. We're going to replace that on 415th Street.
Good.
And I've seen the preliminary designs of those 2 already from JEO, and latest opinion of cost. The road culvert was a little higher than the first opinion of cost, but if it goes up $20,000, that's $2,000 for us. So
Mhm.
I wasn't too concerned about that. So we have those 3 projects added. And then we also add the following fiscal year 2025 program stuck in our annual seal coat, rock, and pavement marking projects, and that was it. Just been a busy time. We can always add more projects to our program in the coming years, and I do plan to try to pick out the next bridge to put on our list for replacement and another overlay, but it's still quite busy in the office, so we just kind of went with that.
Great.
Yeah, so you'll see on the first and second page is the you'll see on the first page at the bottom, or sorry, the second page at the bottom, the Iowa Watershed Approach Project on 360th Street. And then right below that on the next page is the one on 415th Street. And then 3 projects down is the improvements on Bungie Avenue and their new road. You'll notice funding for all of them. Say special, which means we're getting those funds elsewhere, not inside local funds, which is always great to be able to spend money from other sources in our own budget. I guess another highlight, you'll see L55 to continue the overlay on L55 from Gaston up through Silver City. Is still on that third page.
We're gonna go through Silver City when we do that and work
Yep.
with the city.
Yep.
Sure.
It'll be farm to market. It's a farm to market extension.
Sure.
Whatever our matches through. So some of it's swap money, some of it's FM currently. So swap funds usually are at an 80-20 pay scale, 20% match from the county at least. And so we would then request the city to supply their amount of the match for
In the city
the
limits.
distance in the city limits.
Okay.
They'll save on, they won't have to pay for design costs. They won't have to pay mobilization costs. We'll just ask for materials, only the materials through their city. If they want to do some more, I've already talked to their city mayor about this project's upcoming. If they do want to do some more improvements, so this will only be for the main line. 12-foot
Right.
lane either side of the center line. If they want some improvements on their parking, in that main street, their block, that'll be cost board to them 100%. If sidewalk ramps or something like that,
Right.
then we can work with them to get it designed, but they'll have to pay for that full cost. We're only splitting on the main line.
Good.
But I
I
agree.
can't wait till you get the south half done.
That bid's in 1 week.
Jeez.
We'll be hearing.
This will be huge for the
It'll be
town.
from Gaston South, correct?
Yep, that's this
Well, you
year.
got one farmer that says, I'm just gonna bring you a bill. If I gotta drive farther, I says, Slaughter, you can bring all the bills you want, but you'll never get past the desk.
He
let me tell you.
would. He would.
Yeah, and I'm sure everybody will tell you we didn't go far enough. And we'll get there.
Well, it's phased.
Mhm.
Phased you go. Okay, does anybody have any discussion or any other questions on that?
I just don't see 250th on here, but maybe that's in another phase, you think?
We must have missed that one, huh?
250th going north of Mineola, maybe.
I'll make a motion to accept the 5-year construction program.
And I second that.
Got a motion by Crouch, second by Vinton to approve the 5-year secondary roads construction program.
And budget. I
And
think we're doing
budget.
it on the same.
Can we do it on the same? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any other discussion?
I do want to say on the budget, Carol Robertson, I might need you to write a letter or sign a letter with me that is similar to what Kevin had to do last year as far as our beginning year budget. I got the warning when I printed it out that it doesn't match our annual report end of year budget or amount, and so.
Okay,
But it's something we've had to do in the past, and
okay.
I think it shouldn't take more than a letter stating this is the auditor's official amount, so that's why I went with that amount in that previous report.
Got it.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
I,
Aye. Motion carries 3-0.
You, Lonnie, are right below me, both of those.
There's one way above
Robertson
you.
gets to sign above me.
You need to switch that around next year.
It's a template that comes out with the DOT, I don't know why. Maybe it's alphabetical. Auditor, engineer.
Change my name.
Chair, no, chair comes before engineer, I don't know.
Supervisor, auditor, board, A, B. Or
So here's-
important, I don't know,
here's
maybe
the
it's the important thing.
And then I did print out 2 copies of this one. Let me find the other copy.
You serve a useful purpose.
I'll just take up space.
Thank you,
I
sir.
don't, I'm gonna staple those.
Let's go to the auditor, sir.
Okay, my next item is pay voucher or pay application number 6 to Genesis Contracting Group for our new shop building, admin offices. The total is $437,990.62. This a lot of masonry, bricks paid on this or pay application, and a lot of the steel, structural steel, has gone up and is getting paid in this application. So those are the 2 big ticket items.
They started to close that in yet? The roof going on yet?
Not quite, but they have poured a couple slabs. Our mezzanine, or not in the mezzanine level, below the mezzanine level. Trench drains in the shop area have also gone in. I should probably bring construction. I think construction schedules for you guys, but roofing is coming up next, and more slab pours in the shop area.
Is that a metal roofing?
Yes.
Good.
Air barrier is going around on the walls and making a lot of progress. If you drive by
That's
it
good.
now, it's really taking shape.
did the people stick around for the well drilling? I mean, did they get that done, or do you know?
I know they started it. I think we have a progress meeting Thursday, and I'll get an update on that.
Is one of these mine, Corey? One of these mine?
Yes. One of those is yours.
That goes back to you.
But
437,990.62. Someone want to make a motion?
So move.
Second?
Got a motion by Kraut, second by Vinton to approve pay app 6 for 437,990.62. How far along is this? This 20%, 50%, 60%? Ish.
We have, this will be 1.8 million paid of the 4.8 millions, so we're looking at right around,
Third.
well, about a third, yeah.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries 3-0.
Below. Somewhere.
Anywhere?
Yeah. Thank you. All right, my last item. Wednesday, Wednesday I accept the resignation from Saeed Kian, our engineering tech, who's been with us for about 8-9 months. We had some difficulties in the past filling out construction materials, forms, completing tasks. We'd gone over a few of those problems before. He also failed a certification class for material testing, and those are right of our job description as essential functions: filling out construction forms, communicating with contractors. We had some issues where he didn't know where some of the material came from on the site, so poor communication with the contractors, and to be certified in these as a technician. So a little bit of a backstory about it, how it happened on Wednesday. Monday, I asked him to do some calculating of materials for a price increase for the project for 190th Street. Our concrete we had a price increase, and so I just requested him to show me his work, how he got to a price, and he was unable to do that on Monday. And then comes around Wednesday, I asked him, hey, Syed, I need to see where you're at with this work, and he still wasn't able to show me any of this work. And by the end of the day, Wednesday, so that's third day, 3 days after I asked him for basically a arithmetic, he came in asking me how to do it. And so I was frustrated, I was disappointed. I said that's unacceptable. 3 days for something that should take an hour, 2 hours to do tops, and he told me that he never did anything like this in his previous job. I pointed out it's right in your job description. I'm not asking you to do something that's not in your job description.
Right.
And it's not like I'm berating you either. I'm just disappointed right now that it's taken this long. And he said he verbally offered his resignation. I asked him to write me a 2-week notice, and he refused and said that was going to be his last day. So
Good.
that leaves us a job opening for engineering technician. I'm just looking for you guys' approval to advertise. I have updated our job description. I'd like to go with the same wage as previously,
What is that wage, Corey?
$24.15 per hour,
$24.15?
$24.15 an hour.
You go, Lonnie. What do you think?
I'm
I
thinking
don't know,
about
do you have
it.
the qualifications?
Believe me.
Well, I make a motion for engineer Corey to advertise for an engineer technician position for $24.15 an hour.
Second?
We've got a motion by Vinton, second by Crouch, to
Right.
approve the advertising for the engineer technician.
You're gonna put that on the web, and are you gonna take your applications online like we have in the past?
Yes.
or- Yeah. and then in the paper too. Okay.
Yep, we'll put it in the paper and online.
Is that for 2 weeks?
What is the
Open-
minimum?
Yeah. Is
You-
that,
Well, minimum of 2 weeks,
Yeah,
but
2 weeks.
sometimes if you aren't receiving the applications, you can leave an open end until you.
We'll go with 2
qualify.
weeks.
okay.
First start. Good. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0.
Good.
Any general discussion, Corey?
Thought I'd give you an update on our 190th Street project. Beams have been set on the railroad overpass, so
Yay.
now they're decking and really you can see the progress being made.
How much longer do we have to pay the railroad?
A couple more months. I mean, until they pour that deck. Their last bill they sent. I combed through those pretty closely, and there's 3 days on there where they're claiming 8 hours at least, and so I sent them back a note saying, hey, here's our working day reports. Contractor wasn't working because of wind and rain. I understand if your flagger has to be out there, but the contractor sends them home, so it shouldn't take more than an hour or two to drive out there and go back. And I haven't gotten a response yet from them.
I think that's maybe a cut and paste. Here's this week's, here's this week's, here's this week's. Oh, whoops.
I don't know, but it's outrageous what we pay for a guy to sit
Because
there.
I see this month it was 5,000.
No, you didn't see this month's because I told them that we had discrepancies.
Oh.
But that 5,000 was just their review of the beam setting plan.
Oh.
The
Wow.
flagger, it was about 35,000.
Oh,
A month?
Corey.
Yep.
So
Yep,
glad they're
it's
working
about-
with us.
It's about
You don't think
$1,700 a day.
He's not gonna get his
Wow.
money back?
Exactly
Well, they'll
right.
get more.
I wonder what they pay the flagger. $10 an hour.
Less than-
Oh,
less than
that rail.
$35,000 an hour.
God.
I'm gonna guess that, yeah.
It still bugs me too. Every time they
Mm.
send one of their bills, they have 2 hours of bill prep. I can't believe it
Oh.
takes them 2 hours to make these bills, but there's another $180 or so.
Wow. Maybe they need to hire somebody more efficient to do their billing for them.
And who do you say no to the rail, right? Oh my gosh, Corey. For the flagger.
And I
Wow.
talked to the contractor too. I said, hey, you send home that flagger whenever you're not working, right? You've talked to him, as soon as you know you're not working. Yeah, oh yeah. So I make sure that,
Oh, that's
and I
such a
CC'd
rip-off.
the contractor too on when I report the discrepancies. I said, hey, contractor's here to back it up too. We'll
Good.
see. It was a struggle just to get them to take off 2 days when they were flagging when the road was
caught 'em.
closed for the flood. Yeah, I mean they were 8 hours out there when it was
It was underwater.
6 feet underwater. Yeah.
Oh, they're such a rip-off.
Anything else?
Not really. A lot going on. Crack sealing maintenance going on. H34 is completed west of Emerson. They're moving on to H12 between 221st and L55. And we haven't quite gotten a date for the seal coat to be done, but we do have a contract for that. And road foreman's been in contact with Staybilt, so once Staybilt's ready to get going for the year, I think we're still at the top of their list, one of their first stops.
Good.
Yeah, I go for a little slowdown though.
Mhm.
But it's been good to get all this maintenance stuff lined up, and now it'll just be following up with them throughout the summer. And next week is our bid letting for Silver City overlay, or L55 overlay south. So things might slow down a little bit and get caught up on the other things. So.
Good.
Well, don't breathe too heavily because, we'll be working on the buyout soon and RFPs and fun stuff and,
We'll keep you busy.
yeah. We don't want
Let
you
it
to have any,
begin.
we don't
Right.
want you to have any downtime, are you kidding?
I mean, that's EMA stuff, right?
Some
not on the-
of
that's
it,
not on the
some of
road.
it'll be you, out with the roads parts and, yeah,
No problem.
yeah.
That's all I have.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, guys.
Hop on your
Thank
phone
you,
call.
Corey.
See if you can get some more money.
That's great.
You got my memo of the department head meeting, so you can
10:30, right?
phone in. Not phone in to win, but phone in.
Our next agenda item is at 9:30, so we will take a quick break. For those of you listening, we'll see you in about half an hour. Okay, welcome back, everybody. It is 9:31. We're waiting for a few people to call in for this.
Sure.
Who's on the line right now?
Hello.
Is anybody on the line, the conference line?
This makes it so hard. I know. Technology is wonderful.
I know.
Whoever was disconnected.
Okay.
Oh, they're back on.
Somebody connected?
We got a call.
Hi, is anybody on the line?
Anybody here?
Nope.
Hi, who's on the conference line? Can you hear us?
Hello?
Hi, who's on the conference line?
Morning. Good morning. Hey, how are you guys? We're doing good. Good.
So, I think, is it, who's on the,
Who's this?
Yeah, acknowledge
Terry
yourself,
Brown.
all right?
Jay and
Oh, hi,
Terry.
how are you? Good, good.
Jay, is that you?
Okay. What do we need?
Well, hang on,
Hang
just hang
on.
on. We've got the
Sorry,
board.
is this the Board of Supervisors meeting?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Okay. What's Terry? Sir.
I'll make a
What's
motion.
that? I'm the one with the house for sale, so.
Hang on, guys. We're getting ready to go into
Okay.
closed session.
Okay. This is Terry Brown with Iowa Homeland Security Emergency Management. I was calling in the Board of Supervisors meeting. They closed the meeting for it. So we got hooked up. So I don't know.
Uh-oh.
What else?
We're ready?
So this is your direct line?
Can you hear us?
No, it's just supposed to be a conference call. Okay, yeah, it's my first. It's supposed to be a conference call.
Terry?
I dialed the number they give me and I got you, so I'm not sure what we're doing wrong here.
Hang
I
on.
think we're both on the conference call.
You are.
And they're not.
Yeah, we
That's
are.
what I'm thinking of. We'll wait for them then.
It's muted.
Yeah, we'll wait a couple seconds and I'll shoot them a message, see what's going on.
Can you guys hear us now? Hello?
You cut them off.
Okay.
Yeah, you did.
Guys, can you hear us?
No, they're gone.
They're gone. He's ready to.
This is so hard. So let's just make the motion to go into closed session.
All right.
I'll make the motion to go into closed session according to Iowa Code 21.51J to discuss personnel. Okay.
And I second it.
We have a motion and a second to go into closed session at 9:35. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. For those of you listening, we'll be going into closed session. When we're done, we will come back out and have some discussion. Thank you. Okay, everybody, it's 10:30, time for the mandatory department head meeting. We've got,
I just told them mute their phones until they're ready to talk.
yeah, if you guys could mute your phones until you're ready to talk, that'll help some of the background noise. You hear the echo? Echo. We have Julie Lyons and Public Health here to give us a COVID-19 update. To follow the standards set forth by the governor, employees will be calling in for the department head meeting. There's only 10 of us in the room, let the record show. Most of us are 6 feet apart, except Larry. Go ahead, Julie, take it away.
Okay, I have a couple of updates that I want to share with you briefly, and then I want to go into a little bit of some guidance that we have about employers of critical workers. But first, I just wanted to share that Mills County was awarded funding from the Iowa West Foundation, and those dollars are now available. And we have a website. It's covid19.millscoia.us, and on that website we have live interactive maps and updates, so you can kind of see things state of the art as they are right now. On one of those tabs on the COVID-19 Mills COI site, there's a place where you can make application, and so we're trying to spread the word that if you know of any of your employees, neighbors, friends, whatnot, who have suffered a financial impact related to COVID-19, they are eligible to fill out a very brief online application, and we are able to offer them assistance. We have partnered with our local grocers, so that would be No Frills, Russ's Market, Mulholland's in Malvern, and the dollar store here in town if you need personal or household things. We are just trying to really alleviate some of the financial burden that we know people in the county and some of the people that we are employed with might be having as a result of this. So we are going to be doing a big push for that. If you have any questions, you can look at it online. You can fill out the application. If you know of anyone who would benefit from that, we would like to hear from them. The other thing that Lori and I wanted to spend just a little bit of time, and I have printed material that I will leave here at the courthouse that you can have access to. Additionally, if you would prefer that I email this information to you, I certainly could do that. As you know, we're working really close with the Iowa Department of Public Health and the CDC, and information on COVID-19. You know, it tends to change. Sometimes it changes daily or even more often, and so we're working hard to stay ahead of that curve and make sure that you have the best information. Some of the new protocol that we are asking employers of critical workers to put into place, we have on a one-page document here. And based on the information that we've received from the CDC and Governor Reynolds, if you work for the courthouse, you are considered a critical infrastructure employee. So these parameters would come into play for yourself and your employees. And I'm just going to go down the list. If you have it in your hand, you can follow with me. If you don't, we'll just talk about it for a minute, and I'll make sure you get a printed copy. So these are some measures that we would like to put into place that you might not currently be doing. So we'll just go down the list, starting with number 1. We are asking for pre-screens daily. In regards to COVID-19, we are asking for each department to, and we are attaching a sample spreadsheet that you can use, so it's very user-friendly, but we are asking that each employee's name daily is recorded along with their temperature and then answers to some brief screening questions. If you have the packet, it's on the last page. So every day we want every employee's temperature to be recorded at the beginning of their shift. And then we want to know, and you just circle yes and no if they've had a cough, sore throat, shortness of breath, and then document yes or no if you ask them to go home based on that screening criteria. We are asking only if you have any screenings of concern that you would call Mills County Public Health by 8:30 in the morning and let us know of any pre-screens that are of a concern to you, because we as public health are being mandated to report to the Iowa Department of Public Health whenever 10% or greater of your employees are experiencing COVID-19 symptoms. So those things that we're looking for again are fever, cough, sore throat, difficulty breathing, respiratory issues, and fatigue is another thing that we're interested in monitoring. We're also asking that you remind yourself and those that are your employees to do regular monitoring of your health throughout the day. As long as your employees don't have a temperature or symptoms, they should just self-monitor through their shift. If anyone becomes sick during the day, we ask that they immediately go home. We are asking for a higher level of proactive social distancing in the workplace. For example, if you have anyone that must be in close contact with another worker, we would like to mandate the use of a face mask. If you can do social distancing and have that 6 feet between you and another person and be in small groups, face masks would be optional. But we know sometime in the course of your duty, you are required to sit in close proximity to another person, look at the same computer screen or whatnot, and we would mandate the use of face masks if you cannot maintain the social distancing rules. We're also asking for other ideas that you might put into place to keep your employees and workplace safe, and there are ideas such as staggering your breaks. Please don't congregate in the break room. Don't share food or utensils. Also, just be aware that you really shouldn't share things like headsets or other objects that come near the mouth or the nose. Another issue that we want to encourage you to be mindful of is to make sure you have good air exchange in your building, right? So doors open, windows open when the weather permits, anything that allows for good airflow is important. And then that ever increasing frequency of cleaning commonly touched areas. So being very mindful to clean and disinfect all areas such as offices, common areas, and shared electronic equipment routinely. So those are just sort of and there's a total of 5 bullet points of what we're asking you to do. And there's some that are significant changes, particularly that pre-screening of your employees every day and closely monitoring your health throughout the day, and then wearing a face mask if you're in close proximity to another person during your regular work duties. The other thing that we wanted to remind workers just in general is last week, kind of midweek, the regulations regarding safety practices for critical workers who may have had an exposure to a person with suspected or confirmed COVID-19 changed. So prior to last week, if you were just exposed to someone who was symptomatic, we had isolation guidance where you needed to isolate for 14 days. At the federal and state level, they decided to make some changes to that in efforts to not lose too much of the critical workforce as we go forward with COVID-19. And I think also in light of this disease has not come up, we're still going up the hill with it, right? We still have not rounded the corner, and so we expect conditions to probably become more serious before they start to improve. So the change is that any critical infrastructure worker who had an exposure but remains asymptomatic, so you've had an exposure to someone with confirmed or suspected COVID, but you yourself don't have any symptoms at this time. It is currently allowed for you to return to work if you have no symptoms, as long as you wear a mask. The employee should wear a face mask at all times while in the workplace for those 14 days after the last exposure. And employers can issue face masks or can approve employees' use of cloth face coverings in the event of shortages. And we've worked with Larry regarding access to face masks. So if you find yourself in that category where you've had an exposure but you're asymptomatic and you still have the ability to return to work, those face masks would be considered mandatory. And I am all too aware that wearing a face mask for 8 hours during the workday is cumbersome and difficult. But if you've had that exposure, it will be mandatory that you wear that. It's not optional. And that wearing of a face mask is mostly that keeps others from, they have less likelihood of being exposed by you should you, because you have an exposure but you have no symptoms. We don't know for sure yet if you're going to develop COVID-19 or not. So wearing that face mask is very important if you had an exposure. And then we just wanted to once again remind you of the testing framework for Iowa. We are having some difficulty in Iowa getting testing done for people who've had an exposure or people who are symptomatic. I think I read yesterday that in Iowa we are ranked 33rd in the country. So we don't have a lot of testing capability at this point. Not nearly as much as we would like. Right now, the state hygienic lab will do COVID-19 testing, but you have to fit one of the 4 criteria. And the first criteria is you have to already be hospitalized with symptoms. The second criteria is that you have to be an older adult with fever and respiratory symptoms and a chronic medical condition. The third category is persons of any age with fever and respiratory symptoms who live in a congregate setting. So that would be like our long-term care facilities. And then the last category of people who are approved to be screened for testing are healthcare workers, essential services personnel, first responders, and critical infrastructure workers who are having fever and respiratory symptoms. So I've gone over a lot of information, and I know it's hard just to hear this all over the phone in particular, but we do have a written document for your review that I can send to you electronically or have copies up here at the courthouse. The only other thing that I would put out there is if you have concerns that persist, or if you have complaints because you feel like somebody in your work environment is not upholding these protocols and you feel like your work environment is being compromised because of that, we do invite you to give us a call at Public Health. We are very open to coming out and having conversations, listening to your concerns, resolving any issues that we might have, and we are really relying on each other to make the safest choices to keep our work environments up to standards so that we can continue to do the critical work that's required of us.
Julie, I guess I have 2 questions. Number one, you said, are you going to want to hear from each department every at 8:30 or just if there's concern? And do you want it by phone or by email?
You know, we had talked about getting daily reports from every department, and I think that would become cumbersome for public health. So Lori and I kind of talked about, we mostly want to hear if you have a concern.
Okay.
So if you have an employee that's symptomatic or that has a temperature, by phone or by email would be fine.
Okay. Another thing I just wanted to address is, and we'll probably be sending this out to all the department heads so you can understand it. In order to take the FFCRA, there's several guidelines that have to be followed, and we will be sending those out to you. And if you have questions on those, I would ask that you contact Jolene. We've been talking to our HR attorneys, and we have a pretty set forth what can and cannot, and I call it the magic 80. There are certain criteria that you can fall under to take the magic 80, and there is also some that does not qualify. So we will be discussing that with you guys. If you have questions, like I said, Jolene is we've been versing with the attorneys and trying to keep it straight, because once you've used that, it's not there, then you'll be using sick or what have you. And it also depends on how you structure your office, what qualifies there. So we will, like I said, we'll be scanning that and sending it to all department heads so you are aware of what we need and what we need to be kept track of for this to happen.
The only other thing that I would add is that you will see over time that the guidance that we're receiving from the Iowa Department of Public Health and the CDC, as well as our governor, is that we're sort of getting ever increasing standards of interactions. We've been talking about social distancing from day one, and we've talked about early in March, the guideline was groups of 250 or less, and then it went down to 50. Now it's 10 or less. Additional guidelines that we're getting now are basically if you don't live together, you shouldn't be together. So at this point, we are getting recommendations that you should just be with the people who live in your home. And you know what? We understand that that's difficult. You might have grown children, parents, and to just be with the people that live in your house seems very limiting right now. But I think that it's where we're going. And as we try to contain this process in our county and in our state, we really want to get to the best place that we can, because the sooner we can return to regular business, the better off we'll all feel.
So Larry, did you have?
Yeah, I think the form that's on this packet that Julie's talking about, I think when Lori or Julie first sent it to me, I could have sworn that it was fillable, that you could actually type the names in, and I want to check on that, because if it is, we need to send that out to the department heads, because that would be easier to type the names of their employees in there if they're going to do these daily and print off enough copies so they have one for every day. So that, I'm pretty sure that was a fillable form. I think you sent it to us in the fillable mode there. That would be important for department heads to use. The other thing is the hand sanitizer. We do have some high octane sanitizer that's been bottled up.
Literally.
We'd like you to stop by. It does have hydrogen peroxide in it, so I think it's got a bitter taste to it. So probably not advised to dip into it. But we do have some small aerosols, but we do have it in some squeegee bottles. We do have some still in bulk. We have some coming in as the regular type of stuff, but I haven't received it yet. So we have another angle. If you kept your bottles of the Perel that you have in your offices, I may talk to a custodian or somebody. We may bring an opportunity to refill those. So we're working on that. PPE. If you have somebody that's been exposed to whatever and they come to work, if they don't have a cloth mask, which is what Julie was talking about, we do have some additional personal protective equipment, some N95s and some things like that we could issue to the departments as need basis. So you need to let me know what you need, and we'll get those resources to you. Also, last night, we did get a quantity of digital infrared thermometers. Our strategy, Julie's and my strategy is to issue those out to each department. I would like to issue them on a temp loan purpose. So when we're done with this event, I can take the batteries out and put them back, clean them up, put them back in stock. So in case we ever have to have them again, or Julie has another application somewhere else, we can do that. We have demand for these throughout. Our nonprofits, our clinics are looking for them, and we're trying to support them also. So please let me know, and I'll check one out to you or get it around delivered to you, and that way it'll help you take that temp. It's an infrared. It's simple to run. There's instructions in the booklet. One-stop shop, about 3 or 4 inches from the forehead, boom, and you've got the temp, and then you can record that. And that's all I have.
Okay.
Questions, anybody?
Yes, I have a question. Corey, engineer's office. For the masks, are those only daily use, or can they be used repeatedly?
If you have a cloth mask, you can launder it and wear it repeatedly. Oh.
They have been on the N95s, for example, Corey. There have been hospitals they're issued one, and doctors are told, well, this is going to last you for a while, and they have ways to sanitize those, which we don't have right now, or, to sterilize them, which we don't have right now. That's going to be one of the big issues. I do have a quantity that is a separate inventory that I have that we could issue out. If you have people in work crews that might need to still work in a crew, then one of them might need it to wear one. I don't know. We can discuss that later, but probably in your environment, it's going to be tough to use it other than just one day per mask, my guess.
Okay. And Julie said that she was working on providing me with some masks too. So
How many do you need?
Last we talked about was 50, because that would give us enough for 2 for everybody.
I have 12 that I could give you that are very masculine, and I have probably 30 of them that are very floral.
Hey, that's right down your alley. Tell you that.
Corey, I'll run you over what I have, okay?
That'd be great.
Okay, everybody else, let me know if you need a thermometer. If you have the ability to self-test your people, that's great. These are, again, they're standoff, digital infrared, so these might be a little safer to get a temp. So just send me a note or Julie a note, let us know, and we'll get them out to you.
Anybody else?
Hey, this is Nada.
Go, Nada.
This is Nada. I'm just trying to clarify for all the departments. Every day, anybody who's in the office will go through the screening process. That's everybody, not just people who are symptomatic, correct?
Correct.
And the masks, however, if there's social distancing that's available, that will be enough, or is everybody wearing masks every day?
Social distancing is enough on a daily basis. However, sometimes you might find that your work requires you to be closer than 6 feet to another individual. At that time, both people should have a mask on.
And if we're meeting the public or.
Right.
But if you've had an exposure, then you have to wear a mask all the time.
Right, okay. Just clarifying, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, we good?
Okay.
All right, thank you everybody for calling in. Good luck for the rest of your day. If you got any questions, get a hold of supervisors, auditor, public health. If you got any questions. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Larry will be your
thank you.
pickup for these, right?
Again.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate all your support.
We'll get there.
That is pretty awesome, because the ones I've always seen are the ones that run over your
These are
forehead.
great. You
That
can stand back
gotta-
and do these.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Just
They are
laser
not
tag.
cheap.
Like laser.
Oh.
They're good.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Laser tag. Scan and send one to each one of our employees to what constitutes the RCA, whatever, leave, and what you have to do in between times if you can't meet the guidelines. Start here. Okay,
Exactly.
So does,
I'm not allowed to get sick of it.
Hey.
I'll leave it already.
And then you got.
Okay, so.
Okay. Our next item on the agenda is appointment to the Mills County Planning and Zoning Board. We had a couple applicants, and I think the board decided on Bree Fry. Replace a female with a female.
Yes, planning and zoning has contacted both of those
I
individuals.
think they have a meeting today or tomorrow.
Yeah, they've contacted him, and she's available to serve, and John was disappointed, but they said, we're gonna keep your name in.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
it'll be
it's,
soon.
yeah,
Yep.
so, and this is for a 5-year term, so.
5 year? Okay.
Well, I'll make the motion.
and I second it to appoint Bree Fry for a 5-year term on the Planning and Zoning Board.
We've got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
I,
Motion carries 3-0.
Okay. All right, out of the software purchase. If I can find it here in my, amidst my things. We, in the auditor's office, are not writing in our books anymore, so we still have to keep a transfer book program. So I got a bid from Solutions. It goes through Solutions. It's $5,500 for the initial installation and maintenance. They're waiving the maintenance fee until 6/30 of 21, and that's $1,280, I think, if we get it installed by May 1st, which shouldn't be a problem. They also can transfer what we have in our system. It may take them 4 to 8 hours to program, and that's at a rate of $145 an hour with a maximum of $1,392. Total cost of this could be up to an amount of $6,892, which we do have in the Solutions Budget Fund.
Good.
So,
Those transfer books need kept up, so good deal. We have a motion to approve that, ladies and gentlemen.
I have a motion to approve the purchase of the software program from Solutions.
Second?
We've got a motion by Vinton, second by Crouch to approve the purchase of the software program from Solutions. Is there any discussion? Will this be updating what, since you left off?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, everything will be out there. We will begin first with everything that started January of 2020, and then
start
they're
working our
going
way
to go
back
back
and-
and pull everything else that we have in
Similar to
record.
what we do with the recorder. Just update
And it'll
the
be,
books.
yeah, so then it'll all be out there. I mean, it's
Be a
just,
few
we're not
years.
physically writing it in the book
Sure.
anymore, but it'll be on this and
Sure.
Very cool.
accessible. So, yes.
Excellent. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. For those of you listening, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again next week.